everybody, it's Katie, and today I have a massive book haul. I have 27 books here to share. Most of them are sci-fi fantasy, but there is a stack that is contemporary. So first I'll go over the fantasy novels that I got, and then I'll go into the contemporary ones. To start off this haul, I have Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston, and this is the book that came in the March Owlcrate box. So this is really pretty. It has purple sprayed edges. And this is basically a retelling of Anastasia set in space. Next, I have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is one of my most anticipated releases of 2018, and I'm really excited that I finally have my hands on it. This is a West African-inspired fantasy, and it follows a girl who's trying to get magic back in her country, and she teams up with the princess, and they go on this epic adventure. I don't know much more than that, but that's really how I want to go into this one, not knowing much since it is so hyped. I want to make sure that it lives up to my expectations. The next book I got is actually because of Children of Blood and Bone, and that is Beasts Made of Night by Tochi Onyebuchi. Sorry, I'm probably butchered that last name. But this book is about corrupt mages who can create sin beasts. And the main character is a sin eater who is one of those people who can destroy those beasts. And one night he is called to eat the sins of one of the royalty. And basically he has to battle this sin beast, and it's the most powerful one that he's ever encountered, and it follows his story. So the reason why I wanted to pick this one up is because it's also African-inspired fantasy. So since Children of Blood and Bone is so hyped, I figured why not try another one. Then I picked up Shadow Scale by Rachel Hartman. This is the second book in the Seraphina series, or duology. I think it's just a duology. And this is the new covers, which are gorgeous. I really want to get Seraphina in this cover too now. But this basically follows Seraphina after the events of the first book. I don't know much about the second book, nor do I know much about the first book, other than the fact that Seraphina is half dragon, half girl, and it follows her trying to figure out what exactly she is and how to deal with her heritage. Plus, there's a war going on between humans and dragons. So that sounds really interesting. Dragons are one of my keywords. If I hear dragons, I'm going to buy the book. Next, I have The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This is about an organization called the Library, and the main character has to steal a very powerful book. The only problem is that once she gets there, the book has already been stolen. So this follows her journey to try to get this book for the library. And the boy that she goes on this journey with is hiding a secret. So she has to figure out what secret he's hiding and if it means life or death for her. And it sounds very, very interesting, and I can't wait to read this one. I'm starting to sound like a broken record saying how interesting these books sound and how much I want to read them. But it's true, or else I wouldn't have bought them. So the next book that I have is Spellslinger, which is by Sebastian de Castell. I've heard great things about his Greatcoat series, but I haven't heard anything about any other books that he's written, so when I found that he does have other books, I immediately picked this one up. This is about a boy named Kellen who, on the eve of his 16th birthday, where he has to do his first mage's duel, he finds out that he no longer has his magic. And then a mysterious stranger shows up in town who shows that there is a different path that he can go down. And this sounds, again, really interesting. His Greatcoat series, I've heard, is extremely funny, so I'm hoping that this is the same way. So speaking of Sebastian de Castell and his Greatcoat series, I got the second book in that series, Night Shadow. I don't know much about what happens in this book, but I do know that the first book is kind of like a Three Musketeers type of story, where it follows these men who were the best of the best, and they were like the king's assistants, and when the king is murdered, they get blamed, and then they have to figure out who actually killed the king, and basically go on this adventure after they retire and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to this one, really looking forward to reading the first book too. This is my problem. I always buy books before I read this first book so that I have the entire series that I haven't read yet. I don't know if you call that a problem per se, but yeah, I buy way too many books. So the next book that I have is The Traitor's Game by Jennifer A. Nielsen. So this is about a girl whose father is second command to a seemingly immortal king, and she is captured by a group of rebels, and they're trying to get her to show the location of a secret dagger that can kill this immortal king. But they find out that she is not a willing prisoner and will not go easily. So this follows her journey and how she figures out what exactly she's fighting for. Next, I have The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks. This one I found from BookTube, and I heard about this book from Sam's Nonsense, and I'll link her channel down below if you want to go check it out. I'll link this video specifically, but she talked about funny fantasy novels that she really enjoyed. And I recently read Kings of the Wild, and again, if you follow me on Bookstagram at all, you know that I loved that book so much. It was so funny. So when I saw that she also recommended this book, I immediately went and bought it, because if she liked Kings of the Wild and this is funny like that, then I want to read it. And the back says, this follows a shape-shifting unicorn, a repentant death priestess, a talking magical warhammer, and a lad with seemingly no skills to help a woman break into a vault in a floating fortress that holds her family's treasure. So this is a heist story, and I'm, again, very excited for this book as well. Then I have Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that follows a girl named Britta, whose father is murdered, and the suspected murderer is her father's apprentice, which is the only friend that she's ever known, as well as the boy that she loves. So then she has to go on an epic quest to figure out who exactly her father's murderer is and bring them to justice. Next, I have Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, and this follows two men, a mercenary and a thief, and they are blamed for the murder of a king, so they have to go on a mission to prove that they are innocent and to find the actual murderers of the king. And this is also a really thick book, and those are my favorite books. I love reading longer series and longer books, so again, really looking forward to reading this one. Then I have Invictus by Ryan Groudon, and this follows a man who is the son of a time traveler and a gladiator from Rome. And basically he tries to become part of the government, but he fails. So he becomes a captain of a time-traveling smuggler ship. So basically he goes and he steals valuables from the past, and he goes back in time to the sinking of the Titanic and to steal some valuables there, and meets a girl named Elliot, and basically they go on this epic adventure and basically save the world. So this sounds really interesting. Then I have Half a War by Joe Abercrombie, and this is the third book of the Half a King series. I can't tell you what this is about because this is the third book, but the first book is about the prince who is trying to reclaim his throne, but he only has one good hand, so he can't fight because he doesn't have both hands to use, so he has to fight his battles with his cunning and his mind instead of with brute strength. And I've heard really good things about this one as well. Picked this one up because of Super Space Chick, and I'll link her channel down below as well, so you can go check out her review of the first book. Then I have A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, and this follows Lady Trent, who is a dragon naturalist, and this is basically about her adventures to learn more about dragons and things like that. So this sounds really interesting. Again, like I said earlier, dragons is one of my buzzwords, so I hear dragons, have to buy it. Then I have Daughters of the Storm, and this is by Kim Wilkins. This is the ARC version of this, so I don't know why this came in the mail when I ordered the actual hardcover copy, but I'll take it. And this is about 4 daughters who are daughters of the king, and their father is dying, and in order to prevent their evil stepbrother from taking the throne, they have to band together and basically plot against him. I don't know much more about it than that, but again, this one sounded really, really interesting, so I picked it up. Then the next book I picked up is Art of War, which is an anthology by 40 different fantasy authors, and they're all short stories about war. The reason why I picked this up is I saw Nicholas Eames, who is the author of Kings of the Wild. He has a story in this, along with a whole bunch of other fantasy authors that I love, and some that I've never heard about before, so hopefully I'll find some new authors to read and buy more books. Then I have another huge book, and that is Tiger's Dream, which is the 5th book in the Tiger Saga series by Colleen Hawke. Again, 5th book, can't really tell you much about this one, But the first one follows Kelsey, who is a normal teenage girl until she goes to the circus and meets a white tiger named Ren. And then she has to go on a journey to break a 300-year-old Indian curse with this tiger, and goes from there. We find out that this tiger is not quite what he seems, and it's fantastic. I rave about this book all the time, well, the series all the time. So if you like any sort of fantasy, or if you like shapeshifters or anything like that, highly recommend this series. Go check it out. Also, this book is huge. Huge. And the last book for the fantasy portion of this haul is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. And this is an alias of Seanan McGuire. And basically, this book is about a group of people who went missing in the Mariana Trench, and then there is basically like a recovery mission that they're trying to figure out what happened to this mission before them. And they find that everything in the deep is not as it seems. Now on to the contemporary portion of this book haul. I don't know a lot about most of these books. Really, I bought them because I've heard of the authors before on BookTube, being, people raving about them and people raving about these books in particular. So I don't know much about them. I just really wanted something to break up all of the fantasy that I read because I'm feeling pretty burnt out over all of the fantasy that I read. So, without further ado, let's get into the contemporary portion of this book haul. First, I have Love, Life, and the List by Casey West, and this is about a girl who is trying to get her work shown in an art exhibit, and she is turned away because they say that her work does not have enough heart. So in order to become the artist that she wants to be, she creates a list of things that she has to do, basically to give her work heart. And her list includes things like facing a fear, learning a stranger's story, and falling in love. Then I have A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallari, and this is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes, but it's gender bent, so it has a female Sherlock. They have to solve a crime that is very similar to the crimes that are found in Sherlock Holmes novels. Then I have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and this is a contemporary romantic comedy book that follows two people who work at a publishing company, and they hate each other, and then they end up falling in love. That's all I know about this. That's all I want to know about this going in. This is one of Chelsea Dawling Reed's favorite books. I'll link her channel down below as well if you want to go check her out. She reads a lot more contemporary novels, so if you are interested in learning more about more contemporary novels, definitely go check her channel out. Next, I have Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. And this follows a girl named Emily whose best friend Sloane goes missing, and she leaves behind a list of things that Emily needs to do, which includes things like kiss a stranger, dance until dawn, go skinny dipping, and things like that to kind of get her out of her shell. So it follows her journey trying to do this list. There are a lot of contemporary novels out there that are about lists, apparently. Then I have another Morgan Matson novel. This is The Unexpected Everything. This is about a girl who plans out her entire summer, basically day to day, and has all of these plans made, but then her father suffers a political scandal, and all of her plans change, and now she has to actually live with her father, and she has to get a summer job walking dogs, and it basically sees if she can handle the changes in her life. Again, don't know much more about it than that. I'm assuming that there's probably a romance in here since it is contemporary, but I guess I'll find out. The next book that I have is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and this follows a girl who has written love letters to the 5 boys that she's loved, and she never sends them, she keeps them in a box, but then suddenly all of these love letters are sent to the boys, and then her love life basically goes from non-existent to out of control. Next, I have The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. This follows 2 boys named August and Jack, and Jack starts hallucinating and sees this fantasy world, and August does the only thing he knows how to help him, and that is to believe in him and his fantasy world. So they end up going on a quest to fulfill a dark prophecy, and Jack slowly starts going mad, and reason that really sealed the deal for me buying this book is the pages. So I don't know if you can see, but as he gets crazier, the pages get darker until they're black. So this sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to read this one. Then I have My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. This follows a girl named Samantha whose life is perfect, neat, and orderly, and she ends up falling in love with the boy next door whose family is chaotic and out of control and messy, and they're the complete opposite of her family. And basically it follows how she deals with the differences between the two, and then something unthinkable happens and she has to figure out which family is the one that she wants to save her. The final book I have for this book haul is Alex and Eliza by Melissa De La Cruz, and this is a basically novelization of Alexander Hamilton and Elizabeth Schuyler and their relationship. I have Hamilton, the actual biography, but I've never seen the musical or anything like that, so I'm really excited to read this novel and see what all the, hype and everything is surrounding these two historical figures. Okay, so that's it for this book haul. My mouth is really dry from speaking and I'm really hungry, so I'm going to go and make some lunch, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below letting me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, because I would really like to know, as I haven't read any of them yet. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!